One star is found lifeless in a bathtub. Another is found in a seedy house, his body already robbed. These aren't just tragic headlines. They are the end of the line for R&B royalty who got lost in a dark spiral. We are counting down 20 stars who had millions and lost it all to their dangerous habits. 1. Whitney Houston. When you think of a perfect voice, you think of Whitney Houston. It was a sign of how deep her struggle had become. In 2012, the world was stunned when Whitney was found in a hotel bathtub. She had passed away after a tragic accident in the water, and a huge R&B star. His own story of dependency is just as wild, including a time when he was taken by a gang and held for ransom. 2. Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was the king of New Jack Swing. After leaving the group New Edition, his solo career exploded. Songs like My Prerogative made him one of the biggest stars of the late 80s and early 90s. He was the bad boy of R&B, and his marriage to Whitney Houston made them the ultimate music power couple. But like Whitney, Bobby had his own personal demons. He battled a powerful dependency on heavy substances, including the first white stuff and the second white stuff, for decades. His life became a blur of bad choices and close calls. At one point, his habit had cost him so much money that he was reportedly homeless, sleeping in his car. But here is the craziest story of all. Almost nobody realized at the time, but Bobby's fast life got him into serious trouble. He wrote in his book that he was once kidnapped by a New York street gang. He owed them money for his habits, and they took him. They held him for ransom, and you know who had to pay to get him back? Whitney. She paid the ransom to save his life. It was a terrifying moment that showed how low he had sunk. Bobby's story of gangs and ransoms is wild, but our next legend's struggle was so bad, she started stealing from her own friends and even faking papers just to get her fix. 3. Etta James. Etta James was a true original. Her voice was pure, raw power. When she sang At Last, you believed every single word. She was a music pioneer who inspired generations of singers, from Janis Joplin to Adele. She was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Blues Hall of Fame. But what many overlooked is that for most of her adult life, Etta was in the grip of a powerful dependency on horrible substances. This wasn't a small habit. It was a decades-long battle that led to arrests, jail time, and stints in rehab. She lost years of her career and millions of dollars to this chemical crutch. Here's how desperate things got. Etta was so controlled by her need for the substance that she would do anything to get it. She admitted to writing fake prescriptions, using the fake name Virginia Harris to try and trick pharmacists. When that didn't work, she would steal from her friends, taking anything she could sell to get money. It was a dark, desperate time for one of music's most powerful voices. Etta James faked papers to feed her habit, but the next star's dependency led to a deep paranoia, ending in a family fight that turned violent and deadly. 4. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was the Prince of Motown. He was a soulful singer who gave us hits like What's Going On and Let's Get It On. He wasn't just a singer. He was a visionary who wrote, produced, and played his own music. He was smooth, smart, and a true icon. But you see, Marvin Gaye was also a deeply troubled man. He fought a long and losing battle with a heavy powder dependency. This habit made him extremely paranoid. He started to believe that people were watching him, that there were plots against him. The paranoia got so bad that in one terrifying moment he tried to end it all by jumping out of a moving car. He was in a full downward spiral. He owed millions in taxes and had to move back into his parents' home. This is where the story takes its final tragic turn. In 1984, in that very house, Marvin got into a heated argument with his father. The paranoia and the substances had made him erratic. The fight escalated, and his own father ended his life with a firearm. It was a shocking, violent end for a man who had only sung about peace and love. Marvin's end was shocking. But our next star's habits also led to violence, not against him, but by him. He and his girlfriend held 2 women captive in a haze. 5. Rick James. Rick James was the king of funk. He was a wild, flashy, and brilliant musician. With hits like Super Freak, he created a whole new sound. He wore glittery outfits, had long braided hair, and lived the rock star life to the absolute fullest. He was the definition of excess. The thing nobody tells you is just how much that excess cost. Rick James was spending a reported $7,000 a week on the white stuff. Do the math. That is over $360,000 a year, just on one substance. This lifestyle completely consumed him. His health fell apart, and he had a stroke at just 36 years old. But the wow factor here is a truly dark one. In 1S991, fueled by a days-long binge, Rick James and his girlfriend did something terrible. They held 2 different women captive at his Hollywood home. They committed horrific acts of violence against them. He was arrested and went to prison for it. The Super Freak lifestyle had turned into a real-life horror story, all driven by his uncontrollable dependency. Rick James's violence was shocking. But the next legend, the Godfather of Soul, also had a violent public meltdown involving a shotgun and imaginary enemies. 6. James Brown. James Brown, the Godfather of Soul, the hardest working man in show business. There was no one like him. He was a force of nature, a brilliant dancer, and a powerful singer who invented funk. He was a global superstar and a cultural icon. But in his later years, James Brown's behavior became more and more bizarre. What many didn't expect was that he was struggling with a serious dependency on PCP, also known as angel dust and powder. These are substances that can cause powerful hallucinations. This all came to a head in 1988 in one of the craziest celebrity stories ever. James Brown, high on angel dust, burst into an office building he owned, waving a shotgun. He was hallucinating. He believed that the trees outside were government spies watching him. When police arrived, he led them on a high-speed chase across 2 states. He was finally arrested and sentenced to 6 years in prison. The Godfather of Soul, a legend, was brought down by his own demons. James Brown saw imaginary enemies. But our next star was a true visionary who could see without his eyes, yet he was blind to his own 17-year dependency. 7. Ray Charles. Ray Charles was, quite simply, the genius. Blind since childhood, he taught himself to play piano and went on to change music forever. He mixed gospel, R&B, and soul in a way no one had ever dared. He gave us Georgia on My Mind and Hit the Road Jack. He was respected by everyone. What's easy to miss is that for 17 years, Ray Charles was a functioning but deeply dependent user of deadly white powder. He was arrested multiple times for possession. It was a secret he kept from the public for a long time, but it was controlling his life. He saw many of his friends and fellow musicians lose their lives to the same needle. But here is the real wow factor, and it's not a tragic one. In 1965, Ray Charles finally decided he was done. He didn't go to a fancy rehab center. He checked himself into a hospital and quit cold turkey. He faced the terrible withdrawal all on his own and won. He kicked the 17-year habit and went on to have decades more of success. He is one of the rare few on this list who beat the beast. Ray Charles managed to pull himself back, but the next star, the daughter of a music legend, fell so far she nearly caused an unthinkable tragedy involving her own child. 8. Natalie Cole. Natalie Cole had music in her blood. She was the daughter of the silky-voiced legend, Nat King Cole. She burst onto the scene in the 70s with her own powerful R&B voice, winning Grammys for songs like This Will Be. Later, she created the Unforgettable album, a duet with her late father that sold millions. But her journey was incredibly dark. Natalie developed a severe dependency on heavy substances. In her autobiography, she was brutally honest about how low she sank. She admitted to walking the streets, looking for her next fix. She lost her fortune and her dignity. But the most terrifying moment, the true wow factor of her story, is what happened with her young son, Robert. She was at her home on a multi-day bender, completely out of her mind. Her son, just a little boy, fell into the family swimming pool. She was so out of it, she barely noticed. He almost drowned. That horrifying close call was the wake-up call she needed to finally get help. Natalie Cole's close call with her son is horrifying. But our next star's dependency was so secretive and strange, it involved a powerful medical substance and over 100 fake names. 9. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, the king of pop. His roots were in R&B with the Jackson 5, and his solo albums like Thriller changed the world. He was arguably the most famous person on the planet. He was a dancing and singing phenomenon. But his life was also filled with strangeness and secrets. His tragic passing in 2009 shocked the world. It wasn't from the usual street substances. Michael had developed a powerful dependency on a hospital-grade anesthetic called propofol, which he was using to sleep. He had a doctor giving it to him at home, a practice that is incredibly dangerous. Here is the truly mind-blowing detail. This wasn't a new or casual thing. To get the many medications he wanted, Michael Jackson was a master of disguise and secrecy. It's been reported that he used over 100 different fake IDs and aliases. He would go to different doctors all over town, using fake names to get prescriptions for powerful pills and other substances. It was a complex web of secrecy that finally led to his tragic end. Michael Jackson's secret medical habit was complex. But our next singer's struggle was out in the open, so bad she had to hide her stash in her wigs. 10. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan is a force of nature. That voice. As the singer for the band Rufus, and in her solo career, she gave us huge hits like I'm Every Woman and Ain't Nobody. She is the queen of funk, and her powerful vocals are instantly recognizable. But for decades, Chaka was fighting a war with her health. She had a long and difficult struggle with both powder and lethal with a powder. It was a problem that haunted her for years, putting her career and her life at risk. She has been very open about her past, and she shared some shocking details. She said that she had a bad reaction and almost passed away on 3 separate occasions. That's 3 times she was right on the edge. Here's a wow factor for you. She also admitted that when she was deep in her habit, she would hide her stash of substances in her famous, big, beautiful wigs. It was the one place she thought no one would look. After her good friend Prince passed away, it scared her straight, and she checked into rehab. Chaka hid her stash in her hair. But our next star's end was even more tragic. He passed away in a seedy house, and his body was robbed before anyone even called for help. 11. David Ruffin. If you love Motown, you know the name David Ruffin. He was the lead singer of The Temptations during their golden era. That gravelly, soulful voice you hear on My Girl and Ain't Too Proud to Beg? That's David Ruffin. He was a massive talent, But what's easy to miss is that Ruffin had a huge ego and an even bigger powder habit. His dependency made him impossible to work with. He would miss shows, act erratically, and demand special treatment. The Temptations had no choice but to fire him at the height of their fame. His life after the group was a sad, slow decline. His solo career never matched his early success, and his habit took over completely. In 1991, his story ended in the most tragic way possible. He had a fatal reaction to a large amount of a substance in a crack house. Here is the truly grim part. After he passed, the other people in the house didn't call for help. Instead, they robbed his body, taking his money and possessions. Then they drove his body to a hospital, dumped him at the entrance, and sped off. David Ruffin's end was shockingly disrespectful, but the next star's story involves a different kind of disrespect. Moving in on his mentor's wife just days after his mentor's life was taken. So, Bobby Womack. Bobby Womack was a true soul survivor. He was a singer, songwriter, and guitarist who worked with everyone from Sam Cooke to the Rolling Stones. His own hits, like Across 110th Street, are classics. He had a gritty, honest voice that was full of pain and experience. A lot of that pain was self-inflicted. Womack had a massive powder dependency that lasted for decades. He admitted that he blew millions of dollars on his habit. It ruined his finances and his relationships. But the biggest scandal, the wow factor of his life, happened early. His mentor was the legendary singer Sam Cooke. In 1964, Sam Cooke's life was taken in a violent incident. Just days later, Bobby Womack, who was only 20 at the time, married Sam Cooke's widow, Barbara. The music world was stunned. He was accused of betraying his mentor. This decision, combined with his lifelong habits, haunted him until his passing. Bobby Womack's scandal was legendary. But speaking of Sam Cooke, our next star was part of a duo that was torn apart by these very same demons, even fighting on stage. 13. Sam Moore. Sam Moore was one half of the explosive R&B duo, Sam and Dave. With hits like Soul Man and Hold On, I'm Comin', they were one of the most exciting acts of the 60s. They were famous for their call-and-response vocals and high-energy stage show. But behind the scenes, their partnership was falling apart. The main reason was a deep dependency on substances. Dave Prater, the other half of the duo, had a serious problem. But Sam Moore wasn't clean either. He struggled for years with a habit involving the needle. The tension between them grew and grew until it finally exploded. Here's the wild part. In 1968, they were on stage, live in front of an audience, when they got into a huge fight. The fight was reportedly over their habits and money. They physically fought on stage, and the partnership was pretty much over after that. The two soul men couldn't even stand to be in the same room, all because of their personal demons. Sam Moore fought his partner on stage. But our next legend's struggle was so public, she was famously arrested by police while she was lying in her hospital bed, dying. 14. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, known as Lady Day, is one of the most important voices of the 20th century. Her phrasing and emotional delivery on songs like Strange Fruit are still unmatched. She wasn't just a singer, she was a musical pioneer. But her life was also one of the most tragic in music history. From a young age, she was in the grip of a powerful white powder dependency. This habit, combined with her relationships with abusive men, defined her life. She was constantly being arrested. Here is the wow factor that shows how cruel her life was. Because of her arrests, she lost her New York City cabaret card. This was a license that allowed performers to sing in clubs that served alcohol. Without it, she couldn't work in her own city. But the final insult came on her deathbed. In 1959, she was in a hospital dying from liver disease. The police came to her hospital room, arrested her for possession, and handcuffed her to the bed. She passed away just days later, still technically under arrest. Billie Holiday's story is a classic tragedy. Our next story involves a whole family, a musical dynasty where the spiral was passed down from brother to brother. 15. Elle DeBarge. In the 1980s, the group DeBarge was everywhere. They were a family of talented brothers and sisters with a smooth sound. The lead singer with that signature high-flying voice was Elle DeBarge. Songs like Rhythm of the Night were massive hits. But behind the music, the DeBarge family was hiding a lot of pain. Elle DeBarge has battled a severe dependency on powder and other substances for most of his life. It started when he was just a teenager. This struggle has led to him being arrested many times over the years and serving time in prison. It completely derailed his promising solo career. What many overlooked is the dark family secret that may have started it all. Elle has spoken about his terrible childhood. He said his father was incredibly abusive. As a child, Elle was sometimes locked in the family basement for long periods. This trauma, he says, is what led him to seek escape through chemical crutches at such a young age. Elle's childhood trauma is awful, but his own brother's story is even more heartbreaking, ending with a deadly illness contracted in prison. 16. Bobby DeBarge. Before Elle was famous, his older brother Bobby DeBarge was a star. Bobby was a musical genius, a key member of the 70s funk band Switch. He was a huge influence on his younger siblings and many other musicians. But just like his brother Elle, Bobby had a deep and powerful dependency on heavy substances. His habit got so bad that he turned to trafficking to support it. He was eventually arrested and sent to prison. And this is where the story becomes a true tragedy. While Bobby was in prison, he contracted a devastating illness, AIDS. He got it from sharing a needle with another inmate. When he was released, he was very sick. He tried to make a comeback, but the illness was too much. He passed away in 1995. It was a terrible end for the talented man who started the DeBarge musical dynasty. The DeBarge family story is full of pain. Our next star also lost everything, going from headlining giant festivals to being homeless and living in a van. 17. Sly Stone. Sly Stone was a revolutionary. His band, Sly and the Family Stone, broke all the rules. They mixed funk, rock, and R&B. They were one of the first multiracial, multi-gender bands. Songs like Everyday People and Dance to the Music were anthems of hope. Sly was the brilliant but eccentric leader. As his fame grew, so did his dependency on powder and PCP. He became unreliable, paranoid, and famous for missing his own concerts. Here's a wow factor that shows how early the problem started. The band was set to play a career-making set at the 1969 Woodstock Festival. But Sly was so high on acid, he refused to go on stage for hours. He made the entire crowd wait, and he almost missed his historic moment. In the following decades, he lost everything. He lost his giant fortune, his mansions, and his career. In 2011, he was found to be homeless, living in a white RV parked in a rough Los Angeles neighborhood. Sly Stone went from Woodstock to an RV. But our next star's habits were tied to terrible violence, including the infamous mistreatment of his superstar wife. 18. Ike Turner. Ike Turner is one of the most controversial figures in music. On one hand, he was a true pioneer. His 1951 song, Rocket 88, is considered by many to be the very first rock and roll record. He was a brilliant guitarist and band leader. On the other hand, he is known for his violent temper and his terrible mistreatment of his wife, the superstar Tina Turner. What fueled this rage? A massive, decades-long dependency on powder. His habit was legendary, and it made him a monster. After Tina finally left him, his life and career fell apart. He was arrested many times and lost his fortune. His end was just as chaotic as his life. In 2007, he passed away from a fatal amount of substances. Here is the wild detail. When authorities found him, it was reported that he was in a room with 12 different women. He was living the same chaotic party life right up until his very last breath. Ike Turner's end was pure chaos. But our next star's passing was a quiet shock. A singer who seemed fine, but was secretly struggling with a common medication. 19. Teena Marie. Teena Marie was the Ivory Queen of Soul. She was a white singer who had the voice and soul of an R&B legend. She was a protege of Rick James. And they even had a hit duet, Fire and Desire. Her solo career was huge, with hits like Lover Girl. Her passing in 2010 was a complete shock to her fans. She was only 54 and was still touring and recording. She passed away in her sleep at her home. At first, it seemed like a natural event, but the medical report told a different story. Teena had a secret dependency on strong prescription painkillers, specifically Vicodin. She had passed away from a fatal amount of these pills. The wow factor is the warning sign that everyone missed. Just 1 month before her passing, Teena was doing a sound check for a concert when she suddenly had a powerful seizure. It was a clear sign that her body was in distress, but the show went on. Teena Marie's struggle was hidden. Our final star also hid his dependency on painkillers from his family, leading to a tragic discovery that left them stunned. 20. Gerald Levert. Gerald Levert was 90s R&B royalty. He was the son of Eddie Levert, the lead singer of the O'Jays. He had his own group, Levert, and then a huge solo career. He had a smooth, powerful voice and was known for his heartfelt ballads. Like Teena Marie, Gerald's passing in 2006 was a massive shock. He was only 40 years old. He was found in his bed at his home in Ohio. The thing nobody tells you is that Gerald was also hiding a secret. The autopsy revealed he had passed away from a fatal mix of prescription and over-the-counter painkillers. He had been taking them for chronic shoulder pain. But here's the truly heartbreaking part. His family, including his famous father, had no idea how bad his dependency was. They knew he took pills for pain, but they had no idea he was taking so many. The discovery that his life ended this way was a complete and devastating shock. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was an American singer, actress, and film producer, widely regarded as one of the greatest vocalists of all time. Her debut album, Whitney Houston, remains the best-selling R&B studio album by a female artist in history, and her powerful voice, unmatched range, and emotional depth made her a global icon. With international hits like I Will Always Love You and Greatest Love of All, she dominated the music industry for decades. However, behind the glamour and success, Houston battled a long and devastating struggle with addiction. By the late 1990s, her drug use had become increasingly public. In May 2000, Houston's longtime executive assistant and friend, Robin Crawford, resigned from Houston's management company. In her 2019 memoir, A Song for You, My Life with Whitney Houston, Crawford said she had left after Houston declined to seek help for her drug dependency, though Houston would claim in an interview that they parted ways over Houston's husband. Rolling Stone published a story in June 2000 stating that Cissy Houston and others had held a July 1999 intervention in which they unsuccessfully attempted to persuade Whitney to obtain drug treatment. In her 2009 interview with Oprah Winfrey, she openly admitted that her drug use worsened after the massive success of The Bodyguard and the birth of her daughter, Bobby Christina. She said, By 1996, it was an everyday thing. I wasn't happy anymore. Her struggles continued into the 2000s, leading her to multiple stints in rehab. In May 2011, she checked into treatment once again, calling it part of her long-standing recovery process. Tragically, on February 11, 2012, Houston was found unconscious in the bathtub of her suite at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. Witnesses reported that in the days leading up to her death, she had been acting erratically. Paramedics attempted CPR but were unable to revive her. The official cause of death was determined to be an accidental drowning, with cocaine use and heart disease as contributing factors. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was one of the greatest soul singers of all time. He shaped the sound of Motown with hits like How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You, Ain't That Peculiar, and I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Fans loved his smooth voice and deep emotional lyrics. But behind the scenes, Marvin struggled with drug addiction, which would eventually take a heavy toll on his life. Marvin first tried drugs in 1960 while touring with the Motown Revue. At first, it seemed harmless, but as the years passed, his drug use grew worse. In the 1970s, he became heavily addicted to cocaine, and while living in London, he started freebasing. He also experimented with PCP, a drug known for causing paranoia and erratic behavior. As his addiction worsened, Marvin became more withdrawn and unstable. His paranoia grew, and he started fearing for his life. He also suffered from deep depression, attempting to kill himself several times. In 1969, after the collapse of his marriage, he tried to shoot himself. Just days before his tragic death in 1984, he attempted to end his life again by jumping out of a speeding car, but he survived with only minor injuries. The drugs also affected his music career. Marvin hated touring, and his addictions made it even harder for him to perform. He once admitted that while touring, his drug use tripled. Janis Joplin. Janis Lyn Joplin was an American singer and songwriter known for her raw, bluesy voice and electrifying stage presence. As one of the most influential rock performers of her era, she rose to fame after her explosive performance at the 1967 Monterey Pop Festival with the psychedelic rock band Big Brother and the Holding Company. Her powerful vocals and emotional delivery set her apart, making her one of the defining voices of the late 1960s. After leaving Big Brother and the Holding Company, Joplin formed the Cosmic Blues Band, incorporating a more R&B and soul-inspired sound, influenced by artists like Otis Redding and the Bar-Kays. Later, she assembled the Full Tilt Boogie Band, which accompanied her on her final recordings. However, Joplin's career was overshadowed by her struggles with substance abuse. Her addiction to heroin, combined with heavy drinking, particularly her fondness for Southern comfort, took a serious toll on her health and stability. By early 1969, she was reportedly spending the equivalent of thousands of dollars per day on heroin. Efforts were made to keep her clean while recording I Got Dem Ol' Cosmic Blues Again, Mama, but she continued to battle addiction. On the evening of October 4th, 1970, Joplin was found dead in her room at the Landmark Motor Hotel in Los Angeles by her road manager, John Byrne Cook. While initial reports suggested no drugs were found in her room, later investigations revealed that narcotics had likely been removed from the scene before authorities arrived. An autopsy confirmed that she had died from a heroin overdose, compounded by alcohol use. Despite her short career, Janis Joplin remains one of the most celebrated and influential singers of all time. Etta James. Etta James was an American singer and songwriter whose powerful and soulful voice made her one of the most influential figures in blues, R&B, jazz, and rock and roll. Beginning her career in the 1950s, she rose to fame with timeless classics such as The Wallflower, At Last, Something's Got a Hold on Me, Tell Mama, and I'd Rather Go Blind. Her music bridged the gap between R&B and rock, influencing generations of artists. Over her career, she won 15 Grammy Awards and 17 Blues Music Awards, cementing her legacy as a music icon. However, behind her success, James struggled with heroin addiction for much of her life. By the mid-1960s, her addiction led her to commit crimes such as forging prescriptions, writing bad checks, and stealing from friends to support her habit. In 1966, she was arrested for writing bad checks and was sentenced to probation and a $500 fine. Her struggles continued, and in 1969, she spent 10 days in jail for violating her probation. James was in and out of rehabilitation centers, including the Tarzana Treatment Centers in Los Angeles. Her husband, Artis Mills, took the fall when they were both arrested for heroin possession, serving a 10-year prison sentence. Even after her release, she continued to struggle with substance abuse. In 1973, she was arrested again for heroin possession, and in 1974, she was sentenced to drug treatment instead of prison. During this time, she became addicted to methadone, which she often combined with heroin. She spent 17 months at the Tarzana Psychiatric Hospital, beginning at age 36, a period she later described in her 1995 autobiography, Rage to Survive, as life-changing. Despite these challenges, James remained a celebrated performer and continued to record music throughout her life. She overcame many of her struggles in her later years and was honored with numerous awards, including an induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Etta James passed away on January 20th, 2012, at the age of 73 after battling leukemia. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was an American guitarist, songwriter, and singer, widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential guitarists in the history of popular music. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992 as part of his band, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Hendrix's unique musical voice blended blues, R&B, soul, British rock, American folk, 1950s rock and roll, and jazz, creating a revolutionary guitar style that continues to inspire musicians today. Before rising to fame, Hendrix worked as a backing musician for several well-known soul, R&B, and blues artists, including Wilson Pickett, Slim Harpo, Sam Cooke, Ike and Tina Turner, and Jackie Wilson. In 1965, he briefly signed with Juggy Murray's Sue Records before joining the Isley Brothers for a second time, recording Move Over and Let Me Dance, backed with Have You Ever Been Disappointed? Later that year, he joined Curtis Knight and the Squires, playing with them for 8 months. Hendrix's experimentation with drugs began in the mid-1960s. Before that, he had only used cannabis, hashish, amphetamines, and occasionally cocaine. His first encounter with LSD reportedly occurred in late 1966 when he met Linda Keith, though some sources argue he only began using it regularly after attending the Monterey Pop Festival in June 1967. According to biographer Charles Cross, Hendrix's inexperience with psychedelics was evident when he mistakenly asked for LSD instead of acid. By 1967, Hendrix's drug use had become more serious. He regularly used cannabis, hashish, LSD, and amphetamines, particularly while touring. His lifestyle and substance use contributed to both his creative energy and his struggles. On September 18, 1970, Hendrix was found unresponsive in his London apartment and was later pronounced dead. His cause of death was asphyxiation due to barbiturate intoxication. Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown Sr. is an American singer, songwriter, rapper, and dancer. He is widely recognized as a pioneer of New Jack Swing, a genre that fuses hip-hop and R&B. Brown first rose to fame as a founding member of the R&B pop group New Edition, contributing to hits like Candy Girl, Cool It Now, and Mr. Telephone Man. After leaving the group in 1985, he launched a successful solo career, achieving mainstream success with albums such as Don't Be Cruel. He later reunited with New Edition for their 1996 album Home Again, which reached #1 on the Billboard 200. His struggles with substance abuse began at an early age. Brown stated that marijuana was his drug of choice, and that he also developed alcoholism at a young age. While he had experimented with other substances, he claimed that he did not use cocaine until after meeting Whitney Houston, whom he married in 1992. Throughout the 1990s, Brown's drug addiction worsened. He reportedly began cooking cocaine and using heroin. In 1993, his drug habits led to a dangerous situation when he was allegedly kidnapped by the New York gang, the Preacher Crew, over a $25,000 drug debt. According to former gang member David Collins, Houston paid a $400,000 ransom to secure Brown's release, and the incident was never reported to law enforcement. If you are enjoying this video, appreciate it by giving it a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Rick James. Rick James was an American singer, songwriter, and record producer. He became famous in the late 1970s after forming the Stone City Band in his hometown of Buffalo, New York. In 1978, James signed with Motown's Gordy Records and released his breakthrough album, Come Get It, which produced the hits You and I and Mary Jane. His most commercially successful album, Street Songs, solidified his legacy with hits like Give It to Me Baby and Super Freak, the latter becoming a defining crossover track that blended funk, disco, rock, and new wave elements. James's struggles with substance abuse began in his teenage years, first experimenting with marijuana and heroin before moving on to cocaine in the late 1960s. His drug use escalated significantly in the 1980s and 1990s, eventually leading to severe health issues. In April 1984, he was found unconscious at his home and hospitalized. By the 1990s, his cocaine addiction was well known, and he later admitted to spending roughly $7,000 per week on drugs for 5 years straight. His years of substance abuse also contributed to lasting physical damage. In 1998, James suffered a stroke after a blood vessel ruptured in his neck during a concert at Mile High Stadium in Denver. That same year, he underwent hip replacement surgery due to the cumulative effects of years of stage performances and drug use. James's personal life was further marred by serious legal troubles. In August 1991, he and his girlfriend Tanya Hijazi were arrested on multiple charges, including kidnapping, assault, and torture. The victim, 24-year-old Frances Alley, alleged that James had held her captive for up to 6 days, burned her with a crack pipe, and forced her to engage in intimate acts during a prolonged cocaine binge. Facing a maximum sentence of life in prison, James was out on bail when he committed a second assault in November 1992. Under the influence of cocaine, he allegedly kidnapped and assaulted music executive Mary Sauger at the St. James Club Hotel in West Hollywood, holding her for 20 hours. James Brown. James Brown was one of the most electrifying performers in music history. He revolutionized music with his creation of funk and left an everlasting impact on R&B, soul, and hip-hop. Brown was one of the first 10 inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on January 23, 1986. His music has been heavily sampled by hip-hop musicians and other artists. His high-energy performances, signature dance moves, and powerful voice made him a legend. By the mid-1980s, rumors were widespread that Brown was using drugs regularly. His friend Vicki Anderson later confirmed that his PCP use started before 1982. When he married Adriana Rodriguez in 1984, the two began using PCP together, which led to violent outbursts. Brown was arrested multiple times for domestic abuse while under the influence. His drug use spiraled further out of control. By 1988, he had been arrested 4 times in 1 year for driving violations, gun possession, and PCP use. In April 1988, after another arrest for domestic abuse, Brown appeared on CNN's Sonia Live in LA. The interview became infamous because of his unusual behavior, which many believed he was high on drugs at the time. A former mistress later revealed in GQ magazine that Brown smoked PCP and cocaine, often mixing it with tobacco in cool cigarettes. At one point, while driving under the influence of PCP, he became so paranoid that he believed the trees were filled with surveillance technology. By the late 1990s, Brown's addiction continued. In January 1998, he checked into rehab for prescription drug addiction, but just 1 week after leaving, he was arrested again, this time for gun possession and cannabis use. In December 2006, Brown was admitted to Emory University Hospital. A toxicology test found traces of cocaine in his urine. His widow later claimed that Brown would often smoke crack cocaine with a female friend. Elvis Presley. Ray Charles. Ray Charles was an American singer, songwriter, and pianist. Despite losing his eyesight as a child, possibly due to glaucoma, he never let that stop him. In the 1950s, he helped create soul music by mixing blues, jazz, gospel, and rhythm and blues. Charles had multiple singles reach the top 40 on various Billboard charts, 44 on the U.S. R&B singles chart, 11 on the Hot 100 singles chart, and 2 on the Hot Country singles chart. At just 18 years old, Charles first experimented with marijuana while playing in the Maxon Trio. He believed it helped musicians tap into their creativity, but his drug use didn't stop there. He later became addicted to heroin, a habit that lasted 17 years. His first arrest came in 1955 when he and his bandmates were caught backstage with marijuana, a burnt spoon, a syringe, and a needle. This didn't stop him. As his career and wealth grew, so did his addiction. In 1958, police arrested Charles on a Harlem street corner for possessing narcotics and drug paraphernalia. By then, heroin had a firm grip on his life. His most serious legal trouble came on November 14, 1961, when he was arrested in an Indiana hotel room before a performance. Police found heroin, marijuana, and other drug-related items. Facing serious charges, Charles admitted that he had been addicted to heroin since he was 16 years old. However, the case was dismissed due to procedural issues with how the evidence was collected. Despite this, Charles continued struggling with addiction. One of his most serious arrests happened on Halloween night in 1964 at Boston's Logan Airport, where he was caught with heroin. After this incident, he checked himself into St. Francis Hospital in California. He went through 4 days of painful withdrawal without any medication. When he left the hospital, he pleaded guilty to drug charges. Prosecutors wanted him to serve 2 years in prison, but the judge saw that Charles was serious about quitting drugs. Instead, he was sent to McLean Hospital in Massachusetts for treatment. A year later, Charles returned to court and received a suspended 5-year sentence, 4 years of probation, and a $10,000 fine. Natalie Cole. Natalie Cole was an American singer, songwriter, and actress, best known for her smooth blend of R&B, soul, and jazz. As the daughter of legendary jazz pianist and singer Nat King Cole, she grew up surrounded by music, but carved out her own successful career. She rose to prominence in the mid-1970s with the release of her debut album, Inseparable, which featured the hit song This Will Be, An Everlasting Love, and the album's title track. The album's success earned her the Grammy Award for Best New Artist at the 18th Annual Grammy Awards, making her the first African-American recipient of the award and the first R&B act to win it. Despite her professional success, Cole battled drug addiction for much of her life. In her 2000 autobiography, Angel on My Shoulder, she detailed her struggles with heroin and crack cocaine. Cole's drug use began during her time at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where she initially engaged in recreational use before becoming dependent. In 1975, the same year she achieved stardom, she was arrested in Toronto, Canada, for heroin possession. Her addiction soon spiraled out of control, leading to several dangerous incidents. In one case, she refused to leave a burning building, and in another, her young son Robert nearly drowned in the family swimming pool while she was on a drug binge. She admitted that at one point, she acted as a prostitute's tout, bringing clients to sex workers in order to fund her addiction. Recognizing the impact of her addiction, Cole entered rehab in 1983. Her autobiography was later adapted into the made-for-TV movie Livin' for Love, The Natalie Cole Story, which aired on NBC on December 10, 2000, and was re-aired on Centric TV on October 26, 2011. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was an American singer, songwriter, dancer, and philanthropist. He was often referred to as the King of Pop. Jackson became one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. His groundbreaking contributions to music, dance, and visual performance reshaped the entertainment industry, setting records that transcended racial barriers and establishing him as a global icon. Jackson popularized innovative dance moves such as the moonwalk, the robot, and the anti-gravity lean, while his music and videos helped shift MTV's focus from rock to pop and R&B, fostering greater racial diversity in its programming. Guinness World Records recognized him as the most successful entertainer of all time. Despite his monumental success, Jackson had a long and complicated history of drug use, particularly with prescription medications. His struggles with pain and sleep disorders led him to rely on a variety of drugs, including propofol, benzodiazepines, and opioids. Propofol, a powerful anesthetic typically used in surgery, was ultimately the direct cause of his death in 2009, when his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, administered a fatal overdose. Murray was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Jackson's substance use extended beyond propofol. He also took alprazolam, sertraline, omeprazole, hydrocodone, paroxetine, carisoprodol, and hydromorphone. His access to drugs was facilitated by several doctors who continued to prescribe them, and he reportedly used 19 fake IDs to obtain medication. Throughout his life, Jackson made attempts to address his addiction. In 1993, he entered rehab in an effort to manage his dependence on painkillers. However, despite efforts to remain sober, he continued to struggle with substance abuse. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan is an American singer, often called the Queen of Funk. Her career has lasted more than 50 years, starting in the early 1970s when she was the lead singer of the funk band Rufus. With the band, she recorded hit songs like Tell Me Something Good, Sweet Thing, Do You Love What You Feel, and Ain't Nobody. When she went solo, her first album featured I'm Every Woman, which later became a big hit for Whitney Houston. She continued to make popular songs, including What Cha Gonna Do For Me, and in 1984, she became the first R&B artist to have a hit song with a rapper when she covered Prince's I Feel For You. Other famous songs by Chaka Khan include Through the Fire and Higher Love, a song she worked on with Steve Winwood that reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1986. Even though she was very successful, Chaka Khan struggled with drug and alcohol addiction for many years. She has openly talked about her experiences with drugs, saying that she used heroin and cocaine for about 10 years. However, she said in an interview that she never injected drugs. She also struggled with prescription pain medication, especially around the time Prince passed away in 2016. That same year, Chaka and her sister decided to go to rehab to get help for their addiction to pain medication. In a statement released to the Associated Press Sunday, she revealed that she has been battling an addiction to the same medication that led to Prince's death. Prince was found dead at his Minnesota home on April 21st. An autopsy found he died of an overdose of fentanyl, a powerful opioid painkiller. The statement read, "Unfortunately, I will miss concert appearances over the summer. However, it's vital that I put my health and well-being first. I know that I am disappointing some of my fans, but I also know they would want me to recover and be well and healthy." Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield was an American singer, songwriter, and producer known for his deep, socially conscious music. Often called the gentle genius, he was one of the most influential figures in soul music, using his lyrics to highlight issues affecting African Americans. Mayfield's music career began in a gospel choir, but after moving to Chicago's North Side, he met Jerry Butler at age 14 and joined The Impression. He became the group's lead singer and songwriter, bringing themes of social justice into soul music. In 1965, he wrote People Get Ready, which later ranked #1. 24 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. In the 1970s, Mayfield went solo, releasing several albums, including his debut Curtis, and the soundtrack for the 1972 film Superfly. The album was praised for its raw storytelling about crime, poverty, and drug addiction in inner-city communities. But behind his sharp lyrics, some believed Mayfield was writing from personal experience. Though he was known as a socially aware artist, Mayfield was surrounded by the very world he sang about. The 1970s music scene was filled with drug use, and as he created his politically charged music, it became harder to ignore rumors that he dabbled in substances himself. As he captured the dark realities of street life in songs like Freddie's Dead and Pusherman, there were whispers that he wasn't just observing the drug culture, he was part of it. Some close to him suggested that his deep connection to the struggles of addiction in his lyrics was personal. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse was an English singer, songwriter, and musician, known for her deep, expressive contralto vocals and her ability to blend multiple genres, including soul, jazz, reggae, and R&B. She achieved worldwide fame with her album Back to Black, which won multiple Grammy Awards and became one of the best-selling albums of the 21st century. Despite her immense talent and success, Winehouse struggled with substance abuse, addiction, and mental health issues throughout her life. By 2005, she had developed a pattern of heavy drinking and drug use, leading to significant weight loss and erratic behavior. Those close to her noted that the death of her grandmother in 2006, a key stabilizing force in her life, deepened her struggles with addiction. In August 2007, Winehouse was hospitalized for what was reported as an overdose involving heroin, ecstasy, cocaine, ketamine, and alcohol. She canceled several performances in the UK and Europe, citing exhaustion and health concerns. In interviews, she admitted to battling self-harm, depression, and eating disorders. Her battles with addiction became increasingly public, with paparazzi frequently capturing her in distressed states. Despite multiple attempts at rehab, she struggled to maintain sobriety. On July the 23rd, 2011, Winehouse was found unresponsive in her London home. The coroner later confirmed that she had died of alcohol poisoning, with a blood alcohol level more than 5 times the legal driving limit. Amy Winehouse's tragic passing at the age of 27 placed her in the infamous 27 Club, alongside artists like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Kurt Cobain. Which of these singers was your favorite back then? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. David Ruffin. David was greatly impacted by blues and gospel music. He eventually left home to pursue a singing career because of his passion for music, beginning his career with local ensembles prior to his breakthrough. I Wish It Would Rain was one of Ruffin's finest songs, showcasing his powerful delivery of a devastating tale of unrequited love and grief. The Temptations parted ways with Ruffin in 1968 because of personality conflicts, his challenging conduct, and his growing drug addiction. Ruffin's violent attitude caused him to leave the group, which at the time was a huge loss for them as they were working toward a more harmonic sound with fresh members. David Ruffin started a solo career after leaving the Temptations, but his battles with drug addiction still plagued him. Even though he recorded some excellent music, his personal problems frequently took precedence over his artistic achievements. Due to his substance misuse, he was frequently discovered in precarious situations and arrested multiple times for drug-related offenses. David Ruffin passed away in a friend's Philadelphia home after overdosing on cocaine. He was allegedly discovered unconscious and sent to a hospital where he was declared deceased. It was confirmed that he died from an accidental overdose. Number 2. Rick James. James was born into a military family and enlisted in the U.S. Navy as a teenager, serving in Vietnam. He left the service early to pursue a career in music, playing in a number of bands before relocating to California in search of better opportunities. His solo recordings began in the mid-1970s, but his career really took off in the 1980s. Smooth R&B with funk elements, You and I was his first big success. Super Freak. The song that became his hallmark smash, with its distinctive bass line and bold, confident lyrics. Many consider the song to be a funk anthem, and it has been sampled in many songs, such as You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. James's audacious and outrageous persona earned him the title of King of Punk Funk. With his flashy attire, lavish hairstyles, and a blend of rock star haughtiness and lighthearted charm, he embraced the excesses of the 1980s. The well-documented substance misuse of James, especially cocaine, ultimately played a role in his demise. His reputation as a party warrior and heavy drug user had a detrimental impact on both his career and health. Rick James had a number of legal issues in the 1990s, including a well-known 1993 conviction for the abduction and abuse of a lady. James was incarcerated for a while, and his reputation suffered greatly. A later incident in 2004 involved him assaulting a woman and was charged with violence. This was one of many behaviors that came to be linked to his unpredictable way of life. James's substance misuse had caused his health to deteriorate over time. He had been admitted to the hospital several times in the months before his death due to heart problems and substance abuse. Number 3. Esther Phillips. At a young age, Esther Phillips was exposed to music, and the blues and gospel music were among her first inspirations. She started performing as a teenager, and when Johnny Otis heard her singing at a nightclub at the age of 14, he became aware of her. As a result, Savoy Records signed her. Double Crossing Blues. Her early career began with a blues song, that was her first single. Release Me. Her best song and first significant R&B chart success was this one. It was a crossover between country and soul that peaked at number 10 on the pop charts. Phillips spent a large portion of her life abusing drugs, especially heroin. Due to her unpredictable conduct, health concerns, and legal troubles, this addiction had a significant negative impact on both her personal and professional lives. Her addiction frequently prevented her from fulfilling her professional obligations, which resulted in years of inconsistent performance schedules and spells of notoriety. Phillips reportedly spent a large portion of her career in and out of recovery facilities, but her addiction persisted. She recovered well in the 1970s and was able to pick up some steam in her career, recording for Kudu Records and enjoying a comeback to the limelight. The cause of her death was chronic drug abuse, induced liver, and renal failure. After years of struggling with addiction, Esther Phillips passed away at the early age of 48. She suffered from substance misuse, which had a terrible impact on her health and ultimately led to her death. Number 4. Frankie Lymon. American singer and songwriter. Frankie Lymon is most renowned for being the main vocalist of Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers, a pioneering doo-wop group. Despite being brief, his career had a significant influence on the evolution of pop, rock and roll, and R&B music. As one of the most recognizable characters from the doo-wop era, Lymon's voice, with its young enthusiasm and amazing range, made him an early pop success in the late 1950s. The Teenagers' song, Why Do Fools Fall in Love, became an immediate hit after Lymon, then just 14 years old, took over as lead vocalist. Reaching number 1 on the R&B charts and number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, the song became an enormous hit. It contributed to the group's reputation in music history and is considered by many to be among the most important songs in rock and roll history. Internal conflicts arose in spite of the group's achievements. Lymon's relationships with the other members of the band suffered as a result of his rise to popularity. Lymon sought a solo career after the Teenagers broke up soon after their popularity. Although Lymon created solo songs, none of them were as successful as his previous work with the Teenagers. The commercial success of hits like Goody Goody and I'm Not a Juvenile Delinquent was less. Lymon's battle with drug addiction, particularly heroin, hampered his capacity to regularly perform and record as his fame waned. During his brief solo career, his personal life got more chaotic as his addiction issues deteriorated. In addition, Lymon had a reputation for having relationship troubles, such as several marriages and legal troubles. Prior to his passing, he was married 3 times, including to Zola Taylor, a member of the girl band The Platters. Tragically, a heroin overdose at the age of 25 ended Frankie Lymon's life. He was discovered dead, penniless, and alone in his apartment in Harlem. His passing was a startling and depressing end to a life full of potential. Number 5. Andy Gibb. Growing up in a family steeped in the music industry, Andy, the youngest of the Gibb siblings, was exposed to music from a young age. When Andy first became interested in music, the Bee Gees were already popular, and his older brothers had a big impact on his career. When Andy Gibb joined RSO Records in 1977, the same label that signed the Bee Gees, it was his big break. His early career was greatly influenced by his siblings, who also assisted him in developing the sound that would make him a celebrity. In 1977, his first song, I Just Want to Be Your Everything, was released, marking his breakthrough. The song, which was written by his brothers Barry and Robin Gibb, shot to fame after becoming an immediate hit and peaking at number 1 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. Andy's romantic life also drew media attention due to his high-profile partnerships, such as his brief relationship with actress Victoria Principal, who is most recognized for her work on the television show Dallas. These relationships were frequently the subject of juicy tabloid material, but they were also tainted by his continuous battles with addiction. His battles with substance misuse, specifically with cocaine and alcohol, increased together with his rise to popularity. He became notorious for his inconsistent work schedule and erratic behavior, which were made worse by the demands of fame. He famously struggled with live performances, occasionally skipping shows or showing signs of intoxication. Andy's career started to stall in the early 1980s, and his substance usage problems persisted. He tried to turn his life around when his health declined and he stopped playing music, but the damage had already been done. Sadly, Andy Gibb passed away at the age of 30. His life was filled with both personal sorrow and great promise, and it ended with heart failure brought on by complications from his long-term drug use. Grab your popcorn as we take a deep dive into the stories of these artists who left the world too soon. Number 6. Dinah Washington. Growing up in Chicago, Washington was exposed to gospel music at a young age while attending church. As a teenager, she fell in love with performing and started to win talent shows. It was difficult to classify Dinah Washington's music. She created songs with a distinct tone, emotional depth, and clear enunciation by fusing pop, R&B, jazz, and blues in a way that was all her own. Her career took off when she joined Lionel Hampton's big band in the early 1940s. Hits like Evil Gal Blues and Salty Papa Blues, which showcased her command of jazz with a blues influence, were among her first solo records in 1943. Washington was the most successful black female musician of the time, with 33 top 10 R&B songs between 1948 and 1955. Washington switched between genres with ease, singing love pop ballads one minute, blues laments the next, and jazz standards the next. She became well-liked by both white and black audiences as a result. Leading jazz performers Clifford Brown, Cannonball Adderley, and Brooke Benton were among her frequent collaborators. The two recorded the popular duet, Baby, You've Got What It Takes. Her Grammy Award-winning pop single, What a Difference a Day Makes, peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. She demonstrates her abilities to interpret songs with nuance and force in Unforgettable, Teach Me Tonight, and I Wanna Be Loved. Prior to her passing, she was married 7 times, especially to Dick Night Train Lane, a football player for the Detroit Lions. Because of her emotional intensity and personal instability, her relationships were often turbulent and brief. She frequently battled depression, insecurity, and the difficulties of being a famous black woman in the segregated American music industry, despite her public success. In the 1950s and 1960s, Dinah Washington was one of many entertainers under pressure who took prescription drugs, such as tranquilizers, diet pills, and sleeping pills. She also reportedly took amphetamine-based diet pills to help her manage her weight and to treat her severe insomnia, which at the time was a risky combination. Dinah passed away on December 14, 1963, at the age of 39, from an accidental overdose of prescription barbiturates and diet pills, a deadly combination. Number 7. Vesta Williams. Vesta demonstrated her vocal prowess and industry recognition by serving as a background vocalist for well-known artists such as Chaka Khan, Anita Baker, Gladys Knight, and Sting, before establishing herself as a solo artist. With tracks like these from her debut album, Vesta, Vesta made her breakthrough in the R&B scene. Her vocal range is on display in the minor R&B smash Once Bitten, Twice Shy. She had her first top 20 R&B single, Don't Blow a Good Thing. She also dabbled in voice acting and appeared in theme songs and advertising jingles for TV series including Sister, Sister, and The Huleys. Vesta was candid about her weight gain issues, which had an impact on her professional prospects and health. She formerly weighed more than 300 pounds. Later in life, she shed a lot of pounds and started advocating for health awareness, especially for women of African American descent. The fact that Vesta's death was connected to prescription drug usage, despite the fact that her drug use was not well known throughout her existence, prompted questions about the quiet battles with pain, melancholy, and mental health. Her personal life was kept relatively private, but friends and insiders later suspected she had been dealing with emotional stress and even severe discomfort. The coroner's report stated that she died of natural causes, specifically an enlarged heart, despite earlier speculations of a potential overdose. Prescription drugs were discovered after toxicology testing, though, pointing to a more complicated health picture. Number 8. Gangsta Boo. Gangsta Boo was raised in Memphis in a middle-class household. When she was young, her parents divorced, and she subsequently characterized her childhood as loving yet severe. She started penning rhymes and freestyling with friends from the vicinity while she was in her early teens. The soul sounds of the South, the raw realities of Memphis streets, and the growing local rap culture all influenced Boo's musical preferences. At the age of 14, she became well known as the first female member of the powerful rap group 3 6 Mafia. The group's hallmark style was shaped by her unique voice and audacious lyrics, which were featured on albums such as Mystic Styles and When the Smoke Clears, 66, 61. Due to problems with money and promotions, Gangsta Boo left 3 6 Mafia in 2001 and went on to have a prosperous solo career. On Billboard's Top R&B Hip Hop Albums chart, her debut album, Inquiring Minds, peaked at number 15. Both World's 9 and Inquiring Minds 2, the soap opera, are among the songs she has released thus far. She has also worked with artists like Run the Jewels, Gucci Mane, Outkast, and Eminem. The Booprint was a new project she was working on when she passed away. Gangsta Boo was discovered unconscious at her mother's Memphis house on January 1, 2023. She accidentally overdosed on cocaine, fentanyl, and alcohol, according to an autopsy. Number 9. Rob Pilatus. Pilatus was born to a German dancer and an African-American serviceman. Before being taken in by a Munich family, he was raised in an orphanage in Bavaria. He experienced racial prejudice as a child. His classmates called him Kunta Kinte, a reference to the African hero in the movie Roots. French and Pilatus fab Morvan, a German dancer, established the duo Milli Vanilli in 1988 after meeting in Munich. Producer Frank Farian found them and thought they would become a pop smash. Hits like Girl You Know It's True, Blame It on the Rain, and Baby Don't Forget My Number helped the team attain enormous commercial success. Millions of copies of their debut record were sold globally. Milli Vanilli took home the Grammy for Best New Artist in 1990. But the victory didn't last long. In November 1990, producer Frank Farian disclosed that session vocalists had performed the vocals on Pilatus and Morvan's songs instead of them. Public indignation followed this discovery. The Grammy Award was revoked by the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, and the pair was widely criticized. Pilatus had legal troubles after the scandal, including accusations of assault and vandalism. In addition, he battled substance problems and received treatment. Pilatus and Morvan released their album Robin Fab in 1993, which featured their real voices. The CD didn't help them resurrect their careers and barely sold about 2,000 copies, despite their best efforts. Pilatus was discovered dead in a hotel room on April 3, 1998, after unintentionally overdosing on prescription medications and alcohol. When he passed away, he was 32 years old. Unfortunately, these stars' journey from pop glory to personal strife comes to an end with their death. Number 10. Whitney Houston. Whitney was raised in a musical household and started singing in church at an early age. Prior to becoming well known, Houston was a fashion model and backed vocalist for Chaka Khan and Lou Rawls. Houston was signed to Arista Records by Clive Davis when she was 19 years old, and her first album, Whitney Houston, was the best-selling debut album by a female singer at the time. Whitney Houston's catalog included classics like How Will I Know and Saving All My Love for You. Whitney featured the #1 single, I Want to Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me. The Protector. The soundtrack, which included her performance of I Will Always Love You, went on to become one of the all-time best-selling soundtracks. Houston starred in a number of movies, such as The Preacher's Wife, Waiting to Exhale, and The Bodyguard. She got many honors during her career, such as 6 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year and Record of the Year for I Will Always Love You. She received 2 Emmys, including one for her role on The Merv Griffin Show, 22 American Music Awards, and 30 Billboard Music Awards. In 1992, she married Bobby Brown, and the two had a daughter named Bobby Christina Brown. Both of them were subject to media scrutiny, and their relationship was frequently in the spotlight. Houston's drug addiction issues received a lot of media attention. During her career, she went into rehab several times. At the age of 48, she passed away on February 11, 2012. Accidental drowning in a bathtub at the Beverly Hilton Hotel was the cause of death, according to the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office. Cocaine usage and atherosclerotic heart disease were contributing factors. She also had traces of Xanax, Flexeril, Benadryl, and marijuana in her system. Number 11, Bobby Brown Jr. Bobby Brown Jr., a member of the well-known Brown family, was born in Los Angeles, California. Bobby Brown, his father, is a well-known singer who has performed both solo and with the legendary group New Edition. Although they were not married, his mother, Kim Ward, is well known for having been Bobby Brown's longtime companion. Bobby Brown Jr. aspired to become a well-known musician and establish himself in the music industry. He was active on social media, sharing personal stories and promoting his love of music. And he was frequently spotted in public endorsing his father. He was never as well known as his father or Bobby Christina, but he was making progress toward a musical career by frequently sharing samples of his songs online. At the age of 28, Bobby Brown Jr.'s life was sadly cut short. He was discovered unconscious in his Los Angeles residence on November 18, 2020. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner determined that his death was unintentional and attributed it to the combined effects of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol. His family, who had already suffered a great deal, was dealt a serious blow when the combination of drugs resulted in an overdose. In 2015, Bobby Brown Jr.'s half-sister, Bobby Christina Brown, passed away under similar circumstances 5 years prior to his own death. The risk of drug usage, particularly fentanyl, which has been connected to an increase in overdose deaths in recent years, has been brought to light by the Brown family's experience with substance misuse and the tragic death of loved ones. Number 12, Phyllis Hyman. Phyllis Hyman was a well-known American singer, composer, and actress who was praised for her emotionally charged performances and rich contralto voice. She gained popularity in the 1970s and 1980s with songs including You Know How to Love Me and Living All Alone. She was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on July 6, 1949. She also received a nomination for a Tony Award and a Theatre World Award for her performance in the Broadway show Sophisticated Ladies. Hyman had a lot of personal struggles in spite of her career success. She battled substance misuse, including alcohol and narcotics, and bipolar disorder, which was diagnosed in the 1980s. These challenges were worsened by financial troubles and a history of failed relationships, which she often expressed in her songs. Days before turning 46, on June 30th, 1995, Hyman committed suicide in her residence in New York City. Hours before her performance at the Apollo Theater, she overdosed on a mix of alcohol and barbiturates. A suicide note with the words, "I'm tired," was discovered. "I'm worn out. My loved ones are aware of who you are. God bless you." Number 13, Steven Rodriguez. A$AP Yams, whose real name was Steven Rodriguez, was a key member of the hip-hop scene and a co-founder of the powerful group A$AP Mob. The fortunes of musicians like A$AP Rocky and A$AP Ferg were greatly aided by his innovative leadership. Rodriguez had publicly talked about his struggles with substance misuse, including his usage of Xanax and codeine before he passed away. In a 2013 interview, he described how, while under the influence of these drugs, he choked on his own vomit during the Coachella Music Festival. Rodriguez continues to have a significant influence on the music industry in spite of these obstacles. His avant-garde attitude to culture and music influenced the development of contemporary hip-hop. Rodriguez was discovered unconscious in his Brooklyn apartment, and Woodhull Medical Center declared him dead despite attempts to resuscitate him. His death from an accidental drug overdose was later certified by the Office of the New York City Medical Examiner. The diagnosis of acute combined drug intoxication was made when opiates and benzodiazepines were found in his system. Number 14. Shifty Shellshock. Shifty Shellshock was the lead singer of the rap rock group Crazy Town, best remembered for their 2001 smash track, Butterfly. He was born Seth Brooks Binzer on August 23, 1974. The song became a defining single of the early 2000s nu metal era and peaked at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The band broke up in 2002 as a result of their future albums failing to achieve the same degree of success as this one. Later on, Binzer went solo and worked with British DJ Paul Oakenfold on the moderately successful song Starry-Eyed Surprise, released in 2002. In addition, he established the band Shifty and the Big Shots in 2010 and released his solo album Happy Lovesick in 2004. At the age of 12, Binzer started penning rap songs and lyrics. Early in life, he dealt with legal troubles, such as spending 3 months in the California Institution for Men for attempting to break and enter. His substance misuse issues were well reported, as seen by his participation in VH1's Celebrity Rehab and its spin-off program, Sober House. He fought addiction all of his life, even after several attempts at recovery. At the age of 49, Binzer died on June 24, 2024. He died after an accidental overdose of fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine, according to the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office. Number 15. Mac Miller. American rapper, producer, and songwriter. Mac Miller was born Malcolm James McCormick in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on January 19, 1992. He started his career in 2010 with the independent label Rostrum Records, where he initially gained notoriety for his mixtapes and debut album Blue Slide Park, which became the first independently distributed debut album to reach the top of the Billboard 200 chart since 1995. Over time, Miller's sound changed, including psychedelic rock, R&B, and jazz influences. His more mature and introspective tone was evident in his later albums, like Swimming, which reflected his own battles with addiction and mental illness. Mac Miller died after an accidental overdose of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol, according to an autopsy conducted after he was discovered unconscious in his Los Angeles home on September 7, 2018. Federal prosecutors accused a number of people of supplying fake oxycodone pills laced with fentanyl in connection with his death. Sadly, many cherished artists lost their lives to the harsh reality of addiction. Number 16. Gustav Elijah Orr. At an early age, Gustav's parents split, leaving him to grow up in Long Beach, New York, where he later wrote songs that reflected his experiences of emotional abandonment. Peep was a quiet and naturally creative child who developed an early interest in computers, fashion, music, and art. In addition to being sensitive and shy, he preferred to stay at home and make or listen to music rather than interact with others. Since he was a baby, his mother nicknamed him Peep. The nickname persisted and eventually became his stage name. Between 2013 and 2014, Peep started using a laptop and a simple microphone to create music from his bedroom. His early compositions, which combined rap beats with samples from rock and emo artists like Pierce the Veil, Brand New, and My Chemical Romance, were posted to SoundCloud and YouTube. Before settling on the alias Lil Peep started his musical career in 2013 under the name Trap Goose. He became well known thanks to mixtapes like Lil Peep, Part 1 and Hellboy, and songs like Star Shopping on SoundCloud. His debut studio album, Come Over When You're Sober, Part 1, released in August 2017, further confirmed his status in the music industry. He was open about his use of cocaine, Xanax, and other drugs, frequently characterizing them as a trap as well as a coping strategy. He spoke about heartbreak, inner turmoil, and suicidal thoughts on social media and in his lyrics, becoming a voice for young people who felt alienated. In Tucson, Arizona, Lil Peep was discovered unconscious in his tour van shortly before a planned show. According to the Pima County Medical Examiner, his death was unintentional and caused by the combined deadly effects of fentanyl and alprazolam. Xanax. Number 17, Tom Petty. As the frontman of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, American rock musician, vocalist, and songwriter, Tom Petty gained the most fame. With more than 80 million recordings sold globally during his career, he is among the best-selling musicians of all time. Some of his well-known songs are American Girl, Free Fallin', and I Won't Back Down. In addition, Petty was a member of the supergroup Traveling Wilburys. In 2002, he was admitted into the Rock and Roll Institute. Petty loathed corporate control over art. He notably fought with MCA Records in the late 70s over album price and royalties. He was never fond of becoming famous. For him, he was first and foremost a music lover and then a rock star. Fans adored Petty, but she struggled with drugs, anxiety, and a tumultuous first marriage. His 2007 documentary, Runnin' Down a Dream, and subsequent interviews showed a man who fought with the burden of being a voice of a generation, yet wished to stay grounded, fiercely devoted to his bandmates, and deeply valued musical integrity. Tom Petty viewed music as his salvation, providing him with meaning, a sense of belonging, and a way to connect after a difficult upbringing. At the age of 66, Tom Petty died on October 2, 2017, after suffering cardiac arrest at his Malibu residence. According to the Los Angeles County Coroner's findings, he accidentally overdosed on drugs and died. Multi-system organ failure resulted from the presence of fentanyl, oxycodone, temazepam, alprazolam, citalopram, acetylfentanyl, and dyspropionyl fentanyl in his system. Number 18, Michael Jackson. American singer, songwriter, and dancer. Michael Jackson is considered by many to be one of the greatest artists in history. Often referred to as the King of Pop, his innovative albums and live performances transformed popular culture, dance, and music. Michael was first exposed to music thanks to his father, Joseph, who saw his musical ability at a young age and encouraged him to practice. As a member of the Jackson 5, Michael started performing alongside his older siblings when he was just 5 years old. The trio signed with Motown Records in 1969, and songs like I Want You Back and ABC helped them become instantly successful. Michael, the group's lead singer, rose to prominence quite fast. Michael started to concentrate more on his solo career in the early 1970s. He released his debut solo album, Got to Be There, in 1971. It was a minor success, but it did highlight his distinctive vocal style. His follow-up was a tremendous smash with the title track, Ben, a song about a pet rat that became one of his first ballads to make it to the top 10. Michael Jackson unexpectedly died on June 25, 2009, after severe benzodiazepine and propofol intoxication that resulted in cardiac arrest. Following his unexpected passing, fans, fellow artists, and public figures expressed their sorrow and paid tribute. Number 19, Elvis Presley. At Sun Records, Elvis recorded his first professional song in 1954. As a result, the world heard a new sound with That's All Right, a blend of country and blues music. With this song and its successive hits, rock and roll emerged as a new musical genre. Elvis's first #1 single on the Billboard pop charts, Heartbreak Hotel, launched him into stardom. Elvis's voice was so adaptable that it could pass easily between pop, rock, gospel, and ballads. His music endured because of his charisma, emotional depth, and vocal range. Elvis tried his hand at acting and starred in a number of musical movies in addition to his singing career. The successful movie Love Me Tender featured him in his first significant role. He starred in about 30 movies throughout the 1960s, including popular ones like Elvis's prescription medication addiction was a major factor in his deteriorating health by the 1970s. He kept touring and performing in spite of his personal difficulties, but his health declined. Elvis Presley was discovered dead in his Memphis, Tennessee residence, Graceland, on August 16, 1977, at the age of 42. Cardiac arrhythmia, which was thought to be connected to his drug usage, was listed as the official cause of death. Number 20. Janis Joplin. Joplin experienced a sense of estrangement during her early years. When she was a teenager, she had body image issues and frequently felt uncomfortable in the segregated and traditional town of Port Arthur. Despite being a quiet and reflective girl, she found solace in music. The strong, expressive vocals of blues singers like Lead Belly and Bessie Smith had a profound impact on Joplin's own musical approach. In 1966, Joplin joined the psychedelic rock group Big Brother and the Holding Company, which was based in San Francisco. Joplin's strong and soulful voice was matched by the band's unadulterated bluesy sound. She soon emerged as the group's main attraction, and big audiences started to attend their shows. Joplin began her solo career in 1969 after leaving the Holding Company and Big Brother. I Got Dem Ol' Cosmic Blues Again Mama, her debut solo album, was released in 1969 by the Cosmic Blues Band, which she founded. In addition to the somewhat successful song, Try Just a Little Bit Harder, the album had a blend of blues, soul, and rock. Despite the conflicting reviews, Joplin's distinct style and poignant delivery remained notable. Tragically, Janis Joplin passed away at the age of 27. Joplin was discovered dead in her Hollywood apartment on October 4, 1970, after overdosing on heroin. To uncover more intriguing stories among Hollywood celebrities, don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.